St. Thomas Cathedral Basilica, nestled in the vibrant heart of Chennai, India, stands as a living testament to faith, history, and cultural confluence. Its gleaming white towers rise gracefully above the city skyline, drawing countless pilgrims and visitors, each seeking connection to a story that stretches across continents and centuries. This sacred site is not merely an architectural marvel, it is a spiritual cornerstone, intimately tied to the life and legacy of St. Thomas the Apostle, one of the 12 original disciples of Jesus Christ. To truly appreciate the significance of the St. Thomas Cathedral Basilica, we must journey back in time, nearly 2,000 years ago, to the dawn of Christianity. According to ancient tradition and early Christian writings, Thomas, often called Doubting Thomas, sailed from the distant shores of Judea and arrived on the Malabar coast of southern India in 52 AD. His voyage was both bold and extraordinary, for Thomas was among the earliest missionaries to set foot on Asian soil, carrying the message of Christ to lands far removed from the events of the Gospels. Upon his arrival, Thomas is believed to have landed at the port of Muziris, present-day Kerala. There, and in the adjoining regions, he began his ministry, preaching, baptizing, and establishing Christian communities. His teachings emphasized compassion, humility, and the transformative power of faith, resonating with people from diverse backgrounds. Over the next 2 decades, Thomas traveled extensively along the western and eastern coasts of southern India, especially in the regions now known as Kerala and Tamil Nadu. His journey ultimately led him to Mylapore, on the southeastern coast, where Chennai now stands. Here, Thomas's ministry flourished, but also faced resistance. Local rulers and religious leaders, threatened by the growing influence of his teachings, viewed him with suspicion. Despite adversity, Thomas's steadfastness never wavered. Tradition holds that in 72 AD, he was martyred on what is today called St. Thomas Mount, a small hillock in Chennai, pierced by a lance during prayer. His followers lovingly laid his body to rest in a humble tomb in Mylapore, planting the seeds of a Christian heritage that would endure for millennia. Centuries passed, and devotion to the apostle grew. As merchants, travelers, and missionaries from the Middle East and Europe reached India, they sought out the tomb of Thomas, venerating him as the apostle to the East. By the early 16th century, Portuguese explorers and missionaries arrived in Mylapore. Guided by local traditions and oral histories, they identified the site of the apostle's tomb and, in 1523, erected a modest church above it. This initial sanctuary became a beacon for Christians from all over the world, drawn by the rare privilege of worshiping at the resting place of an apostle. The church, however, would not remain unchanged. As the centuries unfolded, the region came under British colonial rule. Recognizing the site's spiritual and historical significance, the British authorities undertook an ambitious project to rebuild and expand the church. In 1896, the present neo-Gothic structure was completed, its soaring spires and elegant arches reflecting the architectural grandeur of Europe, yet firmly rooted in the Indian landscape. The basilica's iconic white facade gleams in the tropical sun, while its 155-foot-high central spire remains a landmark for miles around, a symbol of hope and faith for the city's residents. Stepping inside the basilica, visitors are enveloped in an atmosphere of reverence and tranquility. High vaulted ceilings, stained glass windows, and intricately carved altars create a sacred space that invites contemplation and prayer. Beneath the main altar lies the most precious feature of all, the crypt chapel, directly above the tomb of St. Thomas. Here, the air is filled with the flicker of candlelight and the soft murmur of prayers, as devotees from across the globe come to seek blessings, offer petitions, and give thanks. Adjacent to the basilica, the San Tome Museum offers a fascinating glimpse into the past. It houses relics, ancient manuscripts, and historical artifacts that chronicle the apostles' journey and the evolution of Christianity in India. Of particular note is the lance head, believed by many to be the very weapon that brought about Thomas's martyrdom. The museum's displays serve as a bridge between faith and scholarship, allowing visitors to appreciate the depth and richness of the Christian tradition in this part of the world. The significance of the St. Thomas Cathedral Basilica extends beyond its architecture and relics. It is one of only 3 churches in the world, alongside St. Peter's Basilica in Rome and Santiago de Compostela in Spain, to be built directly over the tomb of an apostle. This unique distinction endows the basilica with immense spiritual importance, attracting pilgrims, scholars, and tourists alike. For the local Christian community, and indeed for millions worldwide, it is a place of inspiration, renewal, and profound connection to the early days of their faith. Every year, the basilica becomes the focal point of one of the most vibrant religious celebrations in India, the Feast of St. Thomas, observed on July 3rd. This day commemorates the apostle's martyrdom and celebrates his enduring legacy. Preparations begin days in advance, as the church is adorned with flowers, lights, and banners. The festivities open with the hoisting of the ceremonial flag, signaling the start of the novena, a series of 9 days of special prayers and masses. On the feast day itself, the basilica is filled to capacity, its pews overflowing with worshippers from all walks of life. The air resonates with hymns, chants, and the solemn peal of church bells. Special masses are celebrated throughout the day, each one a tapestry of ritual, music, and devotion. The highlight of the celebration is the grand procession, in which a statue of St. Thomas is carried through the streets of Mylapore, accompanied by singing, drumming, and joyous crowds. The faithful line the procession route, holding candles and flowers, their faces illuminated by faith and hope. Beyond the religious ceremonies, the feast is marked by a spirit of community and charity. The basilica organizes food distributions, health camps, and outreach programs, embodying the apostles' message of service to the poor and marginalized. For many, the feast is a time of family reunions, shared meals, and renewed friendships, as people return from distant lands to honor the memory of their patron saint. The Feast of St. Thomas is not only a religious event, but also a cultural phenomenon, blending ancient rituals with local traditions. Folk music, dance performances, and dramatic reenactments of the apostles' life animate the celebrations, bridging generations and bringing the story of Thomas alive for new audiences. In the bustling streets surrounding the basilica, vendors sell candles, rosaries, and devotional images, while children play beneath banners commemorating the apostles' sacrifice. As the sun sets on the feast day, the basilica stands bathed in golden light, its spires reaching toward the heavens. The celebrations may draw to a close, but the spirit of St. Thomas endures, alive in the prayers of the faithful, in the service of the community, and in the timeless walls of this sacred shrine. Today, the St. Thomas Cathedral Basilica remains at the heart of Chennai's spiritual and cultural life. It is the principal church of the Archdiocese of Madras-Mylapore, a center for worship, pilgrimage, and reflection. Its doors are open every day, welcoming seekers from every faith and nation. For those who journey here, whether in search of solace, inspiration, or simply a glimpse of history, the Basilica offers a sanctuary where the ancient and the modern, the local and the universal, come together in a profound confluence of faith. The legacy of St. Thomas in India is not confined to stone and relic, but lives on in the vibrant communities he founded, the traditions he inspired, and the hope he ignited. His message, carried across oceans and generations, echoes in the prayers offered at his tomb and in the hearts of all who walk the sacred paths he once trod. The St. Thomas Cathedral Basilica is more than a monument. It is a living witness to the power of belief, the richness of heritage, and the enduring bond between humanity and the divine.